have a guest on the phone lines as well, Charles Smith, who's going to be chatting to us. He is one of the Newcastle Eagles players as well, so we're going to be chatting to him very shortly. Seem to be doing quite well, the Eagles, at the moment. Yeah,
I think they're always... I can't remember the last time they weren't doing well in the BBO, so they're clearly doing something right up there, and credit to them. You know, credit for sustained excellence, because that's not easy in any league, and especially the BBO. So credit to Newcastle. Good stuff. We'll be chatting to Charles very shortly indeed. Don't forget to tweet us as well. Let us know who you think is going to be performing in the top 8 for the league's finals there. I think we've got him actually on the line. Are you there, Charles?
Hello.
Hello, evening. Welcome to UK Basketball Hub. How's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Now, we've got 2 guests in the studio today, Alan Keane, and also Otti Woman.
Okay.
Charles, tell us a little bit about the Eagles and the success that they've had so far.
We've had quite a bit of success, I guess, over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It started out kind of rough, though. We had put in a lot of hard work in the first couple of years when Thad first took over, but once we got the right players in and the right system and everybody accepted their role in the system, it's been flourishing ever since.
How do you do that? I mean, how do you find players' positions? Do you watch them? Do you nurture them for a little while? Is there kind of a training ground? How does it work? For the complete novice out there, how does it happen?
I mean, they scout different players over the summer, but the key, I think, is keeping players here year after year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we might only change 1 or 2 parts each season. So I think that's the key to our success.
Okay, good stuff. And in terms of players going off to other countries, do you think that that's inevitable? Do you think that, we've already discussed with our guest tonight, saying that, you know, when players get to around about university age, there doesn't really seem to be much for them to stay in the UK. Do you think that's inevitable now? Do you think there's anything that could be done to keep players here past the kind of university age?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think it's need funding and just the sponsorship of the teams and stuff. Because I think money is the key issue with keeping players here. Because, I mean, the other big countries, they keep their best players within their country. I think that helps the leagues out. So, I mean, it's been getting better and better with guys like Drew and Kieran coming over and staying. So, I mean, you just got to try to find the funding and keep your best players within the country.
I mean, you know, don't shoot the messenger, but how do you find funding? Is it just applying to the government all the time? Is it personalised fundraising? I mean, we had Jack Kendall in last week and he climbed Ben Nevis for his club to raise money. How do you fund a basketball club?
I mean, I'm not sure. I guess you have to pick that up with some of the owners of the clubs here, but I mean, I think the success of the national team would probably help.
Right.
So they could keep a national setting and just have the grassroots through that also. So they have like the juniors in that, and then to the senior leagues of the national team. I think that's key.
Okay. Do you think it's a one-horse race now for the Eagles? How are you going to keep staying strong the rest of the season?
I mean, we keep ourselves on an even keel. We try not to get too high. We just keep playing and facing the next game that comes up on our schedule. I mean, right now we're into the semifinals of the trophy, so that's our key focus this weekend. And once we get back to the league, it's just playing consistent basketball and just letting the rest take care of itself.
Okay. Any clubs that you're particularly worried about, looking out for, trying to make sure you get through?
Not really. I think as long as we play the type of basketball we can play, I'll give ourselves a great chance against anybody.
Oh, great stuff. Well, Charles, thank you so much for joining us. All the best for the rest of the season, and we hope to see you finishing at the top of the league. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Bye. So Charles Smith there is just saying it's all about the focus. In fact, we've had a few basketball players on the panel on these shows, and they've just basically said it's about that one game. It's not about looking forward. It's about focusing on the next game. Otti, would you agree?
Would agree 100%.
Okay.
I remember being on a team where we had, I think, the misfortune of getting probably a little carried away. And as you said, not to get too high.
Yeah.
We'd gone through the first half of the season and breezed it, you know, just destroying everyone in the league. And I think people now just started focusing on the playoffs and winning the whole thing. and it just derailed. It derailed
Really?
towards the second half of the season. So it's very true. It's very, very accurate.
But I guess it's like that for any sport, isn't it? The fans always want to know where they're going to finish, are they going to win? But, you know, for the players that are there out on the field or the court or whatever, in whatever sport it is, it's about that game at that time, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think with us, we try to break it down even to a game within the game, because, you know, the game in itself can can bring in levels of anxiety that, you know, that's very difficult for every player and coaches and so forth. So for us, especially in the European Championship environment, where we play like 9 games in 11 days against some of the best countries in Europe, and these kids are 16 years old, you know, that's big trauma in their lives, you know. So the way we try to manage it is we take it in 5-minute segments.
Okay.
We don't even take it by game, by half. We say, okay, let's win this 5 minutes. And we could be 10 down or 10 up, and we just forget. We put that behind us, and we say, okay, now let's win these next 5 minutes.
It's like presenting live TV. That's exactly what I do.
I mean, they've nailed it. You know, it's game by game. It's possession by possession. You know, it's minute by minute, and you just focus on the next action. And we live by the philosophy of what's next. You know, what's done is done. What's next? And well, I think once you keep that mindset, it challenges the focus and helps deal with the anxiety and keeps you focused on what you're trying to achieve, not the result.
I mean, I know that we discussed in the show we have on previous shows as well about the problems or the issues when players get to university age. There doesn't seem to be much here for them. In a dream world, if you could have one wish right now, what would you like to see, either for that age or any age at basketball?
I think what Charles mentioned about the BBL, that if that could be a better league, I think it's almost that top-down approach. If you get it right at the top, it may just filter down all the way down to the bottom. And I think Warwick Khan, who's the GB performance manager, and Vladen, he's understudy, let's say, he's right-hand man. They've come in and done a good job with the regional programs and the national teams and developing coaches in the country. And I think from that side of things, they started with a top-down approach, and they're trying to filter it down into the clubs. It takes time. It's a process, and you're always going to have those that argue against it and disagree with that system. But if you win the majority, the wave carries everybody along, let's say, kind of thing. But I think in relation to what Charles said, you know, if our national team starts doing well, which they have had some really ups and downs, and had some really good ups, you know. The Olympics being a bit of a downer, I think, you know, expected to do a little bit better there. But, you know, we come back the following year. In the European Championships, when we beat a team like Germany, and you know, we almost beat Spain, and we're competing with these guys without Luol Deng, without, you know, your best player and one an all-star from the NBA. So we get that right, which I think we are. If we got the BBL league right, which hopefully in time is going to evolve, it will trickle down, I believe, and you know, kids will stay here to go to university on a basketball scholarship, and I think that's the key right there. And does it come down to funding? It does, but it comes down to people making sacrifices too. And so I believe funding's a big one, but the top-down approach, I think, is not necessarily the quickest way, even though it probably is quicker, but it's probably the more structured way and the more solid way to do it.
I think we're kind of seeing now the benefits of having a school that's also a sports academy as well. I know that lots of schools are now doing that. But I mean, I think more needs to be done. But I asked Charles, how do you fund a basketball team? I mean, what do you think could, if we could have one wish, funding for basketball, where could it possibly come from?
To be honest, I think the challenge that is faced is funding is a large part of it, but it goes beyond that to a degree, because I sometimes wonder, even with the funding, how much market share, if you wish, basketball could take when you have sports which are obviously part of the fabric of the society here. You know, you have football, you have rugby, you have cricket. In the same way that as much as football is growing in America, as in soccer growing in America, how much would it have to do to take over American football, basketball, ice hockey, and so on and so forth? So as much as I believe there is a lot that could be done, and the game can grow with funding, I still wonder where it would be in relation to the other sports which is competing against here, simply because of the country that you're in.
Okay.
I think it's a cultural thing as well. You know, you look at a country like Lithuania that has 3.5 million people, and they're a powerhouse in basketball. You know, and then you compare it to, what's England, 60 million? Am I right? Thinking it's 60s, thereabouts. Excuse my ignorance with geography and so forth. But I mean, the thing is, it's when you go to Lithuania, and I've been looking to be there 5 or 6 times now for basketball-related stuff. You know, That's where our European Championships happen to be again next summer. When you go there, you go to an under-18 game, like Lithuania play Russia in the European Championship final. I was there 4 years ago. And you have 13,000 people.
Amazing.
Like the capacity of the stadium's 11.
Yeah.
So they're cramming them in. 13,000 at an under-18 European Championship game. And the atmosphere in there just carries you along. You know, you end up, you feel like you're Lithuanian by the time you leave it, because it just really gets into your system. Like you do with football here. So I think the cultural difference is, you know, there's so much history in these countries in basketball. So Serbia, Russia, Turkey, you know, Spain, the roots are very deep. And I think for us, you know, like you look at the kids in our school, I teach in a school in West London as well. I run a basketball academy out there, and the kids, when they come in year 7, 90% of them, okay, maybe more, maybe 99% of them have not played basketball before. Because in their primary school, they're playing netball, they're playing cricket, they're playing tag rugby, which is great, but there's no exposure to basketball. And this was when you guys asked me to write a blog yesterday. I think I came across in the blog as being very passionate about planting the seed with kids to enjoy the game, because you know, if you can't, I mean, for me, I think the best way to engage them, you know, give them a game of NBA Jam or NBA 2K15 and let them enjoy it on the PlayStation. And then, okay, I want to do this. I want to do it. Or take them to a London Lions game at the Copper Box. You know, and you know, the kids will, that's how you plant the seed, I believe. And then you make the provision. Open up the gym. Just let them go in and be free. You know, and after a while, when you've planted the seed and they're beginning to enjoy the game, I believe then you can really coach them. But the issue we have in this country, that's starting at the age of 12 and 13, some is starting at the age of 15. Whereas you go to Spain, they're doing that at 4, you know, 5, and they're growing up with it like we're growing up with football. You know, and I think that's always going to be the biggest challenge. That's why I also feel very strongly about we are doing better than not than expected, but we're doing better than people think we're doing. Because we're starting late. We're always catching up. So for us to have an under-16 team in the A Division European Championship, 18s were in the A Division, 20s are in the A Division. The senior men, okay, they're up and down, but you know the ups are really big. I think that's why I say there's been a lot of progress. But I'm not saying we're satisfied. We're nowhere near it. We will continue to fight and try to develop it and plant the seed at a younger age. But that's the key right there, I feel.